Okay, welcome you guys to our video lesson today for IELTS reading. The lesson today we will study about the technique of how to do effectively the type questions that are true or not given and yes no not given. In the previous lesson, I gave you a list of basic exam techniques. We're gonna use the same technique today, and other tips as well for this type of questions. Here are the techniques that I took in the previous lesson. I'm not going to the details, so I recommend that you should pause video and read them if you want to, and repeat what I said in the last lesson that were number 4 and 5. And these were very important for doing gap fill questions in IELTS reading. And I have mentioned in the previous lesson that are keyword techniques. This is how I really find the answers in reading tests. You underline keywords in the questions, then search for those words in the passage, and compare carefully between the questions and the passage to try to get the answer. Remember that, okay? For today's lesson, we keep trying for those techniques and others to do questions true or not given and yes no not given. First, let's look at the difference. Is there difference between the following true false not given and yes no not given? The answer is yes, with a very small difference. They use true false when the passage is about face. Is the statement true according to the passage or not? The question was said something like this. A statement true or not given according to the information in the passage. On the other hand, the exam is yes or no when the passage is about the writer's views and opinions, not about facts. The reason they said yes or no is something to ask you. Do statements agree with the views expressed by the writers? The words yes and no answer the question, do these statements agree? Yes, they agree, or no, they don't agree. That's why we need to write yes or no, or true or false in each type of questions. So we've seen a small difference between facts and views, and here's my tips. These differences are not important. We can approach both question types in the same way. Just think correct, incorrect, not given information about that, okay? Now we all understand the differences between two types of question. We can forget it completely. Don't worry anymore about the difference between the true or false, yes or no, because we're gonna approach it in the same way. Before doing the main exercise, let's look several quick examples. These examples may be familiar with you guys, but I've just used it for showing the technique. The first example will be to answer the question true. Remember, we don't look at the passage first. Go straight to the question. So here, the first question. It is possible but not normal to say poverty. That is a true false not given question. Well, the first thing before looking at the passage, we need to underline the keyword in the question and underline here possible, not normal, and say poverty. I think poverty is the main phrase, a main keyword for this question, because there is a very strong word that we can search for easily. Let's read the passage now at normal speed. Remember that no skim or scan, just read at normal speed. While the same meaning could be conveyed through the roughly equivalent poverty, the fact is that English prefers to speak of T in terms of being strong rather than in terms of being powerful. So I'm sure that you will notice poverty in that, because it is easy phrase to see from the question. Now we need to look for Is it possible to say poverty? Well, back to the beginning. When the same meaning could be conveyed through the roughly equivalent poverty, well, if the meaning could be conveyed by saying poverty, that means possible. Could be here means possible. Conveys is meaning saying something. So yes, it is possible to say poverty. But is it normal that keep reading after poverty? The fact is that English prefers to speak of T in terms of being strong rather than in terms of being powerful. English prefers strong rather than powerful. That means it's not really normal to say poverty. It must be normal to say strongty. So, the answer is true. Now, let's look at yes question. Very, very similar. Remember that there is a small difference just about the view or opinion of the writer. Apart from that, we do exactly the same thing with two questions. Here's the questions. The information is characterized by our exposure to an abundance of data. The first thing that we need to do is to underline keywords. Information is abundance of data, maybe our exposure. Then we go to the passage. The information is now research in data coming for every which way. That is easy. We underline keywords. Here is information is research in data that is similar to abundance of data, too much data. And one other keyword that we can see is that our in the question and us in the passage as well. That mentions in the same pupil. So the answer is yes, definitely. Now let's move on to a false answer. Here is the question. He dedicated the whole day to his work. Underline keywords. Dedicated, whole day, and work. And then we go to the passage. At noon he ceased work for the day and spent half an hour practicing the flute, on which he became quite skilled performer. Hopefully you notice sit for the whole day. Sit work for the whole day. What time of his sit work? Sit means stopped. What time of he stopped working? Of course, at noon. So he stopped working at noon, so he definitely dedicated the whole day to work. So the answer here is false. Let's look at no answer. Again, just the same with the false answer. Here is about the writer expressing views or opinions. Here is the question. The majority of choices we make on a daily basis are conscious decisions. I underline majority of choices, daily and conscious decisions. Now going to the passage. Most of the choices that I underline here means the majority of choices we make each day, that means daily, may feel like the products of well-considered decision making. And conscious decisions is the same meaning with the well-considered decision making. And most will put the answer here, yes. So then we read, but they are not. They are habits. Therefore, they are not conscious decisions of these choices that we make. They're habits. So the answer here, no. Again, just finding the keywords, comparing the questions with the passage. Finally, let's look at not given example. This is a question. Houdini was more successful in Europe than in America. What are we searching for now? we are searching for. First is name Houdini. Then it's most successful, Europe than America. Notice here, we got the comparison there. More successful in Europe than America. But the strongest keyword to search for, of course, the name Houdini, because it's easy to search for. Going to the passage, he first attracted attention as Harry handcuffed Houdini. Underline that, and on a tour of Europe, where he challenged police forces to keep him locked up. We found the name Houdini and about Europe, but nothing is about America, and no comparison about more successful. So we have to say not given for that question. Not given means we don't know because we don't have enough information to give the answer. Now let's make sure we understand when to get the answer true, when it's false, and when to choose not given. Remember, true or yes is when the correct information is given in the passage. You can definitely show that. False or no is when different information is given, contradicting the statement. So every the question states that said the information in the passage is different or maybe opposite. It proves the statement wrong. And for not given is when we don't know the answer because there isn't enough information, or sometimes there isn't any information in the passage. Okay, two more quick things to remember. The first one is the main techniques. Find the keywords and then compare the question and passage carefully. That's how we found all the answers for the examples. The other thing that I have mentioned before is the answers are always in the correct order in the passage for these type questions. If you have a session about true or not given or yes, no, not given, you should be confident that the answer will be in the order in the passage. That really helps you. You don't have to go back to the beginning for each question. So this is the end of our today's lesson. And this is the first part of the lesson about true or not given and yes, no, not given. Next week, we're gonna provide you guys the second part of these type questions. Hope you enjoy our lessons. Please comment. And if you want us to provide anything you need to improve, we are happy to provide you all useful techniques that we have. Okay, let's wait for that and follow us for more interesting videos. Now see you. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.